Hey guys, alright, last book review as promised. This one, I think a lot of you will like. It's actually very pop culture, and it's making a big splash right now, especially in the movie scene. It'll be coming out soon. So I've discovered it is called The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancy. It's very sci-fi, dystopian, marketed to young adult fiction. It's really cool, actually. I saw the preview, I think, a week or so ago, and I had a Barnes & Noble gift card for Christmas, and I was thinking, like, what books am I going to get with it? I have some series I want to find out, etc. So I went to Barnes & Noble, and I saw the book, and I had remembered the preview, and I was like, yeah, why not? So on a whim, I grabbed it and, a few other books. So I came home and I read it. Literally, I started it, I read about maybe for half hour, 20 minutes in one night, and then I finished it the next day, if that gives you any idea on how good I think it is. Definitely a 4 or 5 on my scale here. It's very, very interesting. It's this idea, again, everyone has, the fear of the world being wiped out. And the fifth wave comes with this idea that the world will be wiped out by aliens, but as I keep saying to anyone who asks me about it, it's a more realistic approach. Now you might be saying, Nicole, how can you have a realistic approach to the world being wiped out? Well, let me tell you. They do it not so that the aliens are like, woo, I'm going to get in my little my little pod thing and shoot you out with laser beams. Nothing like that, which I think is good, because I'm not the person that really believes, like, aliens would come in their little spaceship and shoot us in the face with lasers till we all disintegrate. I don't believe in that type of alien. What they do, though, is they make it in 5 waves. And the waves, if you've seen the preview, the first wave is the lights kind of go out. It's like a huge blackout. I think they call it darkness. And then there's the second wave that's kind of a destruction, or as our main character calls it, it's surfs up, which is where they kind of have this huge tsunami that takes everybody out. And then Cassie, our main character, sorry, lost her name for a second, but Cassie, our main character, she calls it surfs up. And then there's the third wave, which is an infection. That wave is probably the most terrible wave, in kind of my opinion. I think that's one of the worst ones. I think that gets rid of the people the most at this point in time. And it's this terrible sickness that, like, once you get it, you're basically screwed. And just the way that it's described in the books, it's like, it's disgusting, it's painful, heartbreaking, really. And it kind of hits, and you don't know who's going to get it. Half your family could get it, all of your family could get it, none of your family could get it. You never really know. And then there's these 4th and 5th waves, and the 4th wave is this idea that there's an invasion, and this invasion, people look the same as everybody else, None of them really stands out as, I think that's an alien. There's nothing like that, but then you start to realize that some people have different agendas on their mind, and they're in events, and there's this conspiracy that there's a group that's, overtaking the military base, and it seems like they're the military, but they're not, and what they're doing, they're tracking people, and they're trying to decipher who's an alien and who's not an alien, and so it starts to get into this really thin line of you can't trust anybody. And our character Cassie, she finds that a lot. She comes up with this, situation that it's better to be on her own than to be near people. And her main goal right now is to save her little brother. Because what happens at some point in the book is the military group starts bringing the children in, and saving the children first. And they're like, everyone thinks, oh, okay, so they're going to take the children first, and then they'll come back for us. So they take Cassie's brother, and they don't come back for her, though. And it becomes this idea, and she starts to hear things and learn things about the military group, and she starts to realize they're not who they say they are. So her whole goal then becomes, I need to get my brother out of there. And that's kind of the driving force. Of course, she meets people. It goes back through her memories of what life was like before the waves, and then what life was like during the waves and how people reacted. And it's very interesting because I think that becomes a huge thing, is how do people react? How do you handle something like that? And nobody really knows how you handle anything. That's just crazy to think of. So, yeah. So that is my review. I don't want to give too much away, especially because the movie is coming out, I believe, January 22nd. I still have no idea if I'm going to go see it. My thing is, I also read The Hunger Games, and after I read The Hunger Games, I read all the books before the first movie actually came out. And then the first movie came out, and I was like, do I want to see this? I don't know, because if any of you have read The Hunger Games, you know what happens in the games themselves. I'm not going to spoil it in case there are any late people to The Hunger Games. But, you know what happens. And I was like, can I sit through a movie and watch that? I don't know. Eventually, I have watched the first one. I think I've watched all of them except for the final one with my mom. My mom is a huge fan, and she totally wants to see the third one. So I think I'm going to watch the final part of it. But again, when you read some of the stuff that happens in the books, I always sit there and go, can I really watch this play out? Not as bad as The Hunger Games, I think, but some parts of it I'm like, ugh, can I handle this? And it comes down to a whole thing, how do you know who to trust anymore? And I think that kind of idea is very popular in today's society. I mean, who knows who to trust? We used to live in communities where people would leave their doors unlocked, neighbors always just, came in and said hello, like, everybody knew everybody, and now you kind of live on a street where you're lucky if you know 2 people on your whole street, And trust is a hard thing to come by in this society, too. So, it's as dystopian and crazy as it is, I think it's still a very realistic point of view on what could happen to us one day. So definitely check it out. Fun fact, there is at least a sequel to this book, which I discovered again at the end of reading it. I'm really good at doing that lately. So with this one, I will definitely be going for the sequel when I have the money to buy more books. So thank you guys for being so patient. I hope you enjoy these reviews, whichever one or multiple ones you decide to check out. As always, I appreciate your love and support. Questions, comments, etc. Go for it. I'm always happy to answer. Get out, read a book. Get out, watch movies, TV, whatever. Just go live your life. Alright, bye guys. I'll talk to you later.